include the recording of my comb.
It is Tuesday, August 16th. Welcome to Tikkun Olam. Every vote, every voice. And welcome Aaron Sophian. And I think the rest of us know one another. And if there's anything I can do, just let me know. Someone's making a lot of noise, and
You
I'll
want to
have,
take care of my grandchildren? Want to get my grandchildren in line? That would help.
yes, that's who's making noise. Okay.
All right. Well, all right. I'm going to start, since we are a small group, and it really is, as Ellen said, we really are kind of the choir here tonight. So we'll go through the program, and I think we should try and keep it as much on what we planned on presenting as we talked about as possible. I think it hopefully an archived version of this, others will watch and listen and can get some of the benefits from. So I thank all of you each of you who are on it. It's great to see all of you. Why don't we start, I guess we should do introductions in terms of the presenters. So actually, let me start with Aaron. Aaron, why don't you, since you're new to some of the folks, why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Aaron Sophian. I am the new lead organizer for RAC Illinois. So I am the full-time staff member, and I am doing organizing for RAC. I grew up in Skokie, Illinois. I am a member of Temple Emmanuel at the lake. My dad is a rabbi, and my sort of quick background is that I grew up in the Jewish community. The temple was my home, and after that I went to college, and then I worked on political campaigns for a while, so I have a decent amount of experience in the political world, and now I am putting those two things together and hoping to make a difference and do some Tikkun Olam. So that's the quick introduction.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. I think everyone else is parts of Macomb, Solon Lakeside. So I know Ellen and Rich will also be talking about what's going on, but why don't we just jump in with the program. So as Vanessa said, we're going to be talking about every voice, every vote. So in 2020, the Reform Movement launched the Every Voice, Every Vote civic engagement campaign. At that point, the focus was on combating voter suppression that particularly suppresses the votes and voices of communities of color. And as Reform Jews, we are called to continue the fight for racial justice and fulfill the sacred work of creating a more just, compassionate, and whole world. The Reform Movement's 2022 Every Voice, Every Vote campaign is a nonpartisan effort grounded in our Jewish values and commitment to racial justice to strengthen our democracy by encouraging and protecting voter participation. As Reform Jews, we believe democracy is strongest when the electorate reflects the population, and it suffers when citizens are shut out from the democratic process. Voting is how we determine our future. It is how we fulfill the Talmudic teaching that a ruler is not to be appointed unless the community is first consulted. It is our prayer. It is our voice. Every individual, including those on this call, and hopefully many more to come from our congregation, has a role to play in strengthening democracy, combating voter suppression, and ensuring that every eligible American can show up as a voter in the 2022 elections. So tonight we're going to learn about two action opportunities to become involved in the Every Voice, Every Vote campaign. Our first program is the Postcard Program, which all of you are probably familiar with. In order to talk about that, I'm going to turn it over to Rich and Ellen to share with us.
Allow me to apologize for the background. Let me move the room real quick and try to be quiet. But so as we did in 2020, we have partnered with
Rich just got frozen.
Pardon? There we go. Sorry about that. Who identified specific nonpartisan registered, and while it's a nonpartisan effort, they're primarily targeting the communities of color who are at risk for voting rights. So, the effort remains to be worthwhile.
Rich,
Reclaim our vote.
Hey, Rich,
He's not
since
aware
you
that he's
moved-
freezing up.
Yeah, well, I know we can, if we can't get his message from him, I know Ellen hopefully will be able to fill in the blanks on whatever we're missing from Rich.
Well, I'm not sure what he was gonna say, but I certainly can take over in terms of, I can't communicate with him right now. But given the fact that he's still frozen, you want me to just continue?
If we could assume for a minute that Rich can hear us, Rich, you're able to call in if you don't have enough bandwidth to be on a Zoom, and
No,
then
I
you can be
think-
just added in as a caller.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stay on that one because obviously I've got out of town company here. But I think I'm okay now, looking at everything.
Sounding
So,
better at the moment.
yeah, no, I moved to the room with the router.
Start over though, because we missed a lot
Yeah.
of what you said at the beginning.
That's probably a good thing. So, again, we are as in 2020, we are doing the postcards. We are partnering with Reclaim Our Vote, part of Common Ground, and Aaron can fill in all the things that get wrong. They do a nonpartisan targeted campaign to suppress voters in various states. This year, we did 1,000, I think we did 1,000 postcards for the Florida primary, which we just completed, which is probably, I think the Florida primary has got to be next week since.
It is, it's
Alaska.
next Tuesday.
Yeah, because Alaska, and that's the last one. So now we are getting ready for getting people registered for the general election. We are collating postcards and we'll have them available in a day or two for Virginia. And if I can do this, I will show you what, try to show you what the Virginia postcard looks like. Again, while this is, can you see, oh, that's the wrong thing, never mind. I'll try one more time. There it is. So these are the postcards for Virginia. So what this organization does, they identify communities who are suppressed voters without a party affiliation. Their focus is by sending a postcard, so it's not a letter that people are going to throw in the garbage. We're going to address the phone call opportunities next, but this is a postcard that people can read, and they've identified the key issues in that state. So what's interesting, Virginia is voting rights, healthcare, maternal wellness, gun violence, jobs, and housing. And then the next state we're doing is
Georgia.
This one is Georgia, and Georgia is education, internet aspect, healthcare, and economic security. So what I find interesting is that they are targeting, in addition to targeting the voters, they are targeting the specific voters in that state.
Right.
So as I said, so this year we've opted to do 3,000 postcards. I've got 1,000 that hopefully will be ready this week, and we're staging them by when early voting starts. So the first state that has an opportunity, and I think it's the end of September, they have to be mailed by, is Virginia that we're doing first, then we'll do Georgia, and then we'll end with North Carolina, which has a later action. But postcards hopefully will be ready for Friday night services and definitely ready by Sunday. In packets of 20. So people can do 20, or take 5 packets and do 100. Everything will be provided except the postage.
I don't know if anybody has done the postcards that we got from, okay, you're raising your hands. I think you'll agree with me that they were a huge improvement over what we did the last, I guess it was the midterms from 2020. Is that the last midterm? Whatever the date was, okay. Because of the issues. I was very impressed with the fact that we were underlining the issues. And although it took a little bit longer to do, the difference in first of all, the labels in the middle are great because it gives the voter information about where to get their early voting ballots. And then all the coloring stuff really gets their attention. And I think the postcards were much better, even the front of the postcard. So I'm encouraged that we will get a great task mobilized and continue even after Sunday to get people mobilized until we get rid of the 3,000 postcards, as Rich said we've identified. So
Rich, can I ask a quick question, Rich? The Wisconsin Senate race is a historic opportunity to elect an African American to the Senate. And the Senate is a super challenging race right now. And with that kind of historic opportunity, with the outreach to the minority communities, it seems like a pretty rich opportunity.
I can take that.
Okay, good.
Yes, and so RAC National had decided to is working with a group that's targeting these 12 states, and they're going through the primaries, and they're working to turn out votes in the primaries. We are also have every intention of partnering in Wisconsin with Rhonda, and who's actually a member with you guys, and doing work with Wisconsin for all of the reasons that you said. It's just not part of this actual RAC National program. The reasoning why I can't go into too much, partly because I don't exactly know, but I know that there's like these 12 states that they have targeted, and the ones upcoming are Virginia and Georgia. So
great, thank you.
And I think part of the issue is I think more in Wisconsin, it's not necessarily a question of registration, but getting out to vote, where we're targeting getting people registered to vote and then get out to vote. So I think there's a slightly different emphasis. And I agree with you, Wisconsin is as important as any state going on. So, but I share that from a partisan viewpoint, which I'm not allowed to say.
Right. Okay, are there any questions about the postcards? I know that I'm excited to be able to start to give them out. I won't be at Friday night services, so we may even get some out then, but Sunday we certainly will be promoting them and having people sign up if they don't want to take them then, or give us names of people that we can call to get them. Any other thoughts that anybody has, I'm happy to incorporate. But I think we will do a great job in getting those 3,000 cards that Rich mentioned completed.
I am going to jump off, so because I've got out of town company, but we'll see you all. I will not see you Friday night, but I will see you all on Sunday.
Okay.
Thank
Take
you,
care, everybody.
Rich.
Love
Bye.
to Jeffrey.
All right. Any questions about the postcarding program that we'll be engaged in, which, as has been mentioned, it's very similar to what we did 2 years ago. Some improvements in the messaging and in the way we're going to approach it, but kind of a standard block and tackle part of the campaign that we are going to be engaged in and already are. The other tactic that we want to talk about tonight briefly is phone banking, which I know most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with already. There's a little bit of a wrinkle to the way we're doing phone banking this year. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron and Ellen again to kind of bring us up to date on what the plans are for phone banking opportunities during the campaign.
Yeah, I'm happy to go. I just want to add real quick to the postcarding. Postcarding is a great thing to do at night while you're like watching TV or hanging out like with your family, or it's a
Absolutely.
great thing to do to like get some friends together at the temple or not at the temple and just hang out and talk while you guys do it. It is it's a well-worn tactic because it works, but it is also something that can both be solo or communal depending on how you feel. So it's just worth, you know, saying that too. You know, it can be a nice thing to do with friends. On the phone banking, I actually even have some new information that we didn't even talk about yesterday, Jack. So some exciting things, but there are currently, what is going on is there are Wednesday phone banking calls that RAC National organizes. They are targeted into different states, different weeks. So I can't always tell you exactly. I'm pretty sure Florida's coming up, but then there'll be a Pennsylvania date, there'll be Virginia. And about 75% of them are what is called, we are using what is called a deep canvassing tactic, which is slightly different than a classic phone bank tactic where you call people and you try to give them the information about how to vote or why they should vote. When you deep canvass, you try to create a deeper connection with the person first before you decide to push them to register to vote or to go out and vote, depending on what the end tactic is. We have found that creating that deeper connection, that more relational piece of persuasion helps increase people to do it because then an actual trust is created. So we have been working with one of our partners to do that. We do the training right before the actual phone banking. So there's all you have to do is sign up, and you will have the chance to learn about it and ask questions before you actually do the phone banking. And then afterwards, we do a little wrap up so that you have a chance to talk about or hear other people's you know, what happened, other people's experiences. Also going forward, I actually just learned this morning, Florida and Pennsylvania are building a couple relationships with local partners. So they're going to be doing more phone banks inside their state. And so as those come out, we will publicize them to everybody and you'll be able to sign up in the same spot. So you'll actually see more days of phone banking as we get closer to the election. So it won't just be Wednesday. And I'm going to put the link in the chat, and I will make sure that you guys can send it out to whoever needs it. And you can just sign up directly to phone bank right there. While I'm putting those links, I will also put the link to sign up for RAC Illinois updates, and to sign up for RAC National updates. And that way, if you guys are interested, you can always sign up there and get the regular weekly updates or the every voice, every vote updates. The page that I put allows you to check the boxes of where and what you would like to get. I'm going to let Ellen actually did a little deep canvassing, so I'm going to let her talk about her experience a little bit. So.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with the RAC deep canvassing. I didn't really get it to begin with. I went 2 weeks ago. I couldn't go last week because we were out of town, but I do have the letter from Jacob for tomorrow. It's from 5:30 though, our time, is it not? Aaron, do you know? Yeah, it starts at 5:30 and it goes till 8. But if anybody wants to sign on, just let me know. I'll send the link to them. What I learned, I mean, it didn't make sense to me that they were spending so much time on the call, but they have found, as Aaron kind of confirmed when we spoke last night, that they are getting so much more benefit out of it. And when you start to do it, I've made a few calls. I only reached maybe 1 or 2 people. My prejudice against phone banking was it was so hard to get people, but it's worth it for the few people that you get to really engage in the phone call. So I encourage you to try it. Listen, all of us are trying to do whatever we possibly can to make this world better under the Tikkun Olam umbrella. And so it's one more thing to do. I had made something like 30 or 40 calls to Wisconsin before the primary. And although I didn't reach many people, those that I did reach were decent calls. And so you think you're doing a little, and we know that Johnson is as vulnerable as any of the senators, and now Mandela Barnes is a great candidate. So I'm just using Wisconsin as an example, but these other states that they're going to, I think it really, really does matter and work, and it was a positive experience. So I encourage you to, to join in and just try it. They're doing it every week until the election, correct, Aaron? Yeah. So you got lots of opportunities. You don't have to do every week. As he said, they do the training, they give you the experience, and then they do debriefing, and it's very well organized. And I can also say that with the one that I got today, they've corrected a lot of the, I won't call them mistakes, but they were, I think that they've perfected, and I'm sure they will continue to, the things that maybe were a little bit more vulnerable. So I encourage you all to sign on.
And just to piggyback on what Ellen said, in my previous political life, I have knocked probably 10,000 doors and called more than 10,000 people. And it always sounds way more intimidating than when you actually get into it. When you're talking to people and you're having these meaningful conversations, it sounds cliche, but they really are meaningful. You walk away feeling better, like having talked to somebody than not having talked to somebody. So I really would push you to just at least try it.
Yeah, and just in case the point hasn't gotten through, the thing that makes these different than just phone banking and saying I'm calling to remind you to vote is that you're really trying to engage the voter and find out what motivates them and give them some personal experience that you can draw from your own voting. In my case, I've been an election site judge many times, and I could say it makes you proud to be an American, to get, to be with voters, and that could lead to something. So it's a enriching experience that makes us grow too. So I think that's the positive of it.
Okay, thank you both, Aaron, Ellen. Any other questions people have about the phone banking campaign and the weekly phone banking? They've already started, just to be clear on that, you don't have to do it this Wednesday. It'll be held every Wednesday between now and the election, so you can sign up. As they said, there's a training that you do at the beginning of the session before you do the phone banking. And then you can, as your time is available on a Wednesday evening each week, up to election day, you can participate in that activity. We've shared with you the two opportunities we have right now. Over the next several months leading up to the midterm elections on November 2nd, you'll have a variety of opportunities to engage in RAC's Every Voice, Every Vote campaign. To Rob's question and point about Wisconsin, I think it's fair to say that we hope to have a program in place to engage in door-to-door canvassing in communities just over the Wisconsin border. All of the work that we talked about tonight is done remotely, and this is the first election where there really will be, or at least the first election in 2 cycles, where there will actually be an opportunity, we believe, to do door knocking for those who are interested and comfortable doing that kind of activity. So this and other action opportunities are being led not just by us, but by our partners who are mobilizing the people of color and young people to show up as voters. Hopefully you've found the work that we are doing and the opportunities it presents of interest and worth your investment of time as we approach the upcoming election. As we all know, those elected in November will influence state and federal policies concerning abortion access, gun control, climate change, and a host of other important issues to the Jewish Reform movement and its members. So please keep all that in mind, and please share this information widely with other members of Macomb or your family members or other members of your own communities. And that really kind of ends what we have. Any other questions anyone else has before we wrap it up? Alan?
I have a question for you. I don't know if you saw my private note to you in the chat. Especially what you read to begin with, I would love to be on a poster for Sunday. So can you either send me the script and I'll do the poster, or do a poster for me? I mean, I'll be happy to do it. If you send it to me, I'll get it on the poster. Okay.
I'll send you the text and then you can do with it
Thank you.
as you wish. Yeah.
Thank you,
I'll
thank you.
we may have, I won't call them competing. We may have complementary versions of it.
Oh,
when we
okay.
feel
Well, the
like
stuff that
something,
was
but
with, the stuff that was on voting rights particularly is one I
Yeah.
got, because that's my booth. Okay,
Okay, I'll get that to you.
okay.
You know, Jack, one other thought that I had regarding Sunday is I was with somebody who did postcarding for the first time ever, and she had not realized how incredibly fast and easy it was. So maybe this is super obvious and you were planning on doing it anyway, but you know, having something up that just says, do you want to prepare 10 postcards? People whip them off in like 2-3 minutes. And kind of once you get
These.
past that concern of the first one, it might be easier. So just as a thought to an intro to how easy postcarding is.
Yeah, well, I know Ellen, we talked last night, and Ellen, I know on Sunday,
Mhm.
one of the plans is we're gonna give people an opportunity to actually sit there and fill
Right.
out a postcard so they can see what it looks like and what what it means to actually do it. So they can see how easy it is and what it takes to do it. And then hopefully people will see that and then take or be, ask for more postcards so that they can fill them out.
Right. And if it takes an additional meetings to just say, come at 7 o'clock on a certain day and we'll do it, we'll do that too. Sue had her hand up. Do you have a question, Susan?
No, I just have a tip to add to what Rob was saying about postcarding, because I've been doing it for a very long time, for other elections as well as this one. And it does, every time I do it, I say, I'm not doing this again. Because I've been doing them in 200 postcard.
Right.
That's the least that the organization I was working with would do was 200. And, but I found that, like, if I have the TV on to the news, you don't have to look at the news. You don't have to see what they're, see people sitting there. I would do my postcards while I was listening. And I found that it made it easy to listen to something while you're doing the postcards, because it doesn't seem so tedious that way.
Well, and I would say to you, if you're listening to the news, sometimes just listening to the news can be a motivator for you to do your postcard.
Exactly. That's true too. All right.
You say,
So I don't know, were you on the call when Rich shared his screen with the postcards that are for Virginia?
yeah, and
Okay.
I took postcards last
From
week.
from the ones that we did last week. Okay,
Florida.
for Florida.
Florida,
Because
and
I think there,
and
here's
I
an
mailed them. I
here's
mailed
a-
them.
good. I did that too. But here's an example of one that I have from a different organization, Swing Voters. And all it is please vote and the person's name. These postcards from Reclaim the Vote in Rack, Illinois are so much better, I think, and we're so much more engaging that anybody that's done, we have a lot of people that have done postcards before, but I think they'll be pleasantly surprised with how the quality of these, and you feel
Right.
better about being able to at least impart the issues beyond just go to the polls and vote.
And you know what? They're not long messages, and they tell you what to write.
Exactly.
I mean, this is here.
It's a no-brainer. It's a
this is-
no-brainer.
This is one to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It says, thank you for being a first-time voter. Who you vote for is
Oh,
private,
you're doing, that's swing state. That's the same ones I'm doing for Georgia. Yeah.
but who you vote for is private. But whether you vote is public record. And then it just, please vote in the Tuesday, November 8th election. And that's it. I mean, it's short. And
Yeah.
then you just put the address on, and all you have to do is pay for the stamp.
Sharon, you had a question?
Yeah, so since we're an internal group, a little strategy, and I know Linda heard this from somebody that we both talked with, and I've heard it from a couple other people since then. So we have members who contact us about doing postcards, but then they get hung up on the nonpartisan piece of it. They want it to be, one person said, if they're not going to vote how I want them to, I don't want to put my time into it. And so I've said, well, you can do both. Like, you can work with another organization, you can do ours. It's important for people to vote. We seem to be targeting groups that might be more progressive, but can we, what's a good, that everybody can have the same answer, or we can, we've got people who want to do postcards. I think we're not getting some of these people.
Sharon, I can tell you what I say.
Yeah.
You're not going to win everybody. I
Yeah.
will first say that, but I tell people that though it is not partisan, it is targeted.
Okay.
This is not willy-nilly. We're just writing postcards to everybody who hasn't voted in the last 4 years. This is targeted to people who are often we institutionally make it harder to vote. So this is both targeted for moral reasons and targeted, though it is not partisan. The second thing I tell people is exactly what you said, which is this is not an or proposition. This is an and proposition. We are not telling anybody to not go do their partisan thing. It is just not the mission that we have, or the mission of this program. The mission of this program is nonpartisan but targeted. You can always and do the partisan thing. Nobody is going to be upset with you about it. That is not always a winning argument, but it is the truth. So
Yeah, and let me just add, I mean, what I tell people, because I hear the same thing, Sharon, from people that I know, and what I say is very simple. You can do it with us. We welcome you. You can do it through some other organization in a partisan way. You've got to do it. Don't just say which is better. Do whatever you think is important.
You do it.
Become engaged, become active. We hope you'll work with us, but work with someone to make a difference in the coming election.
yeah, the pie can always grow bigger. Like this is not a zero-sum game of voter turnout. We're happy as long as people are being civically active. That is what Jack said. So.
Okay. If there aren't any other questions, thank you all for being on the call tonight. Vanessa, I trust we'll have this available for others to watch, and we can promote that so they can learn about this opportunity.
Yeah, I will not only send it to whoever would like it, but we'll put it in Sunday's Macomb at Home so people could
Oh,
listen.
great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you
Good.
very much.
Yeah, thank you all. And we'll see many of you on Sunday.
Yes,
you,
come
guys.
on
Yep,
down.
thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.